Welcome, my beautiful souls. We are going to do a past life reading today. As probably a lot of you know who watched the twin flame reading, I normally like to do a past life reading and a twin flame reading, twin flame slash soulmate reading, pretty close together. And one of the reasons why is because I just found through my many years of reading, let's say 90% of the time, tie back to each other. And I felt when I did the twin flame reading, I could feel a past life story. So that's what I'm looking for in this reading. Whether you watched that reading yet or not, I'll link it somewhere. Probably put on an end screen, but maybe I'll put it in the comment section too. Um, And these readings do take some time. What we want to remember is the story is unfolding in front of us. And it does take, to get it right, it takes a little bit of time. Um, because I want to know the story, your story. This is really your story of you and your love. Um, through the lives, but I'm really looking at your past life because I already feel like I know part of the story, but I think we should just get into it. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do past life and connect it to current life. Okay, so we'll read past life first and then add the current life. And what I want to see is how it has come into the current life, and then we can figure out why and is it about to be that type of thing. So for the current life, I'm going to use the psychic tarot. And I'm going to clarify or go deeper, actually, with the gilded tarot. So I'm going to try to use different clarifiers for each one. For the past life tarot, which is really an oracle deck, I'm going to use the crystal vision. So let's go ahead and get into this. I feel like this reading has been waiting to be made. So I'm happy to make it. I'm going to bring the lid down. All right. Going to give them a couple shuffles, though. They are pre-shuffled. Just know that. Everything has been ready, prepared. It's ready for action. I swear sometimes I hear my cards say, like, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. Let me in. Let me try. And then they end up telling like one hell of a reading and become the main deck. So that's how it works around here. All right, my card just flipped over. Phobias, phobias. Some of you may have some phobias in this lifetime that may be related to past life phobias. Just look at her face. It's like she's praying, but it's like she needs it. I don't know. It's almost like it's an anxiety. All right, well, let's keep going. Orphan. I get this not all the time, but a lot. Um, in a past life, orphan. Orphan is looking over at this woman. Interesting. I feel like this child is this woman's child. I don't feel like the woman knows it yet. It's almost like a child from a previous life. And it's interesting because it's that, you know, it's like, when you ask when you pray, you really do have to let go of the outcome and just know that that your highest good should come back. But I feel like this little girl will soon be in this woman's life. And the little girl, so interesting. I'm also feeling all of a sudden that for some of you, this is like your younger self or your past self giving you strength in this lifetime, but not this lifetime, past lifetime. Does that make sense? And I feel both, like both stories. Hmm. Persecution, inquisition. Interesting. Looking towards the future, though. Might be what this woman is worried about. Look at this. Angels. Angels. Look at that. Just that feeling of knowing that we are being watched over. And this woman's prayers are definitely being heard. It feels like it needs to be something now to, it's almost like get past something, something here. Interesting. All right. I think I'm going to take 4 across. I think 5 would be too much. Feels like this woman is stuck between the dark and the light. It's almost like something dark wants to happen, but through her prayer, and she needs it now, I feel like the light will happen. So the light will win over the dark because the angels hear her. Health. Mm. She could be a single mom. She could be single and wants to be a mom. Wisdom. That unicorn. Look at that. Look at the muscles. The definition. Like, I feel like when it says wisdom, it's talking about lifetimes of wisdom. It's coming below the orphan, the little girl. Seems like we always have a little girl in our reading also. All right, I'm going to try to go a little faster. You know, I get a feeling that this woman wants to have children but can't. And I feel like it's a health issue. And I feel like it's a period of time where, for whatever the reason, it's looked down upon, And I don't know if she's married. I almost feel like maybe I can't get married or what have you. But here's the thing, I feel like this orphan is going to come into her life. And I feel like what you or the, those who are talking, I don't feel like it's going to matter. And there seems something special about this person, about this girl. It's like she's the hermit. Lessons and blessings. Lessons and blessings. Got a timepiece there. Time keeps on ticking, ticking, ticking into the future. Hmm. Interesting. I just thought of that song. Time keeps on ticking, ticking, ticking into the future. So weird. I can't tell what time it is. All right. Let's get everything out. Male, female, male, female. I'm getting what I feel is another story. And, I really prefer just to tell a story, but I feel like I have to tell these individual stories because I get a sense of now where this woman does have children. I feel like she has twins and she's got to give one up. Or she had to make the decision between maybe for health reasons. Like one couldn't be, or she couldn't be. You know, the beautiful thing is the angels are here. So she's being protected, even though I also feel the darkness is here. The story I feel the strongest, though, is this orphan about to come into this woman's life. And it may be in a different way than I had planned, almost like I went through the line of adoption when I really wanted to have a child. Maybe I couldn't. It's almost something I feel like with the chromosomes, and maybe I'm running out of time. Again, this is in a past life, and I don't know if it's almost like this little girl, this orphan, was always meant to be. It's just the way that the woman, perceives it. You know what I mean? Like when she comes to that conclusion, okay, then I feel like, it's almost like when she allows herself to receive the answer that her angels seem to be providing, then I feel like because the orphan is just like, I'm just waiting, like, you know, because she carries all this wisdom. Like, she's going to be so good for this woman that it doesn't matter what anybody else says. And right now, I'm feeling she's single. Maybe she was married. Maybe that is part of it. Like, there's been an argument, you know, you're supposed to have my child. Boy, what's that sound like? Which I can't, right? And it's beyond her control. It's beyond the medical field's control. So I don't know. I don't really know. Well, we'll see. It's on the bottom of the deck. Mm, leaving or traveling. Interesting. Interesting. Mother. Um, I hope you understand. Like, this woman is about to take a trip, and this trip is going to make her a mother. Like, it's so clear. Really feel in my heart right now that this experience becoming a mother, it does feel singular, but I don't care. It's not even about that. Like, I feel like this woman is, man, I just feel like the orphan, the little girl, and the woman are going to be such a blessing to each other. And I feel like what the woman had to do is just release control of the fact that she couldn't have a child on her own. But my God, what is planned, or what has been, but planned at the time, that it's not known to her, is this child and who this child is. All of a sudden, we had a bunch of trail bikes out. I'm gonna let them pass. All right. Did I cut these? I don't think I did. Let's bring the crystal vision out. Let's go deeper. But I feel like our women, and I want to give her the name Claire because I just did an audiobook that took you from the fool to the world, but through story form, and it was through the life of Claire. And I'm going to give her the name Claire because I feel like giving her a name. Not that often I want to do that, but I'm going to call her Claire. She may be Claire. That name had come to me like days before I even thought about doing an audiobook on the major arcanas. So here we are again, Claire. Here we are again. We have the Page of Swords, and then we have the King of Swords. I'll tell you what I feel like happened. I feel like this woman fell for this man. Hmm. Hang on. Seven of Wands. Coming over persecution. Well, that makes sense. That's defending one's, I want to say one's honor. And then we have the Knight of Wands coming over angels. That's kind of beautiful. That means help is on its way. Help is on its way. This is action oriented. Help is on its way. I get a feeling that this woman may have fell for this king, but I just get the sense that we're in two different, or maybe the king has the realization that the woman can't get pregnant and therefore leaves. Whatever the reason may be, it's not putting this king in the best of lights. Um, because I feel like this weakness in this king, the fear of what others may think or say, and it feels like a weakness. Like I could be a man, and yeah, I'd be like, this is the woman I love, and that's that. But I don't feel that. I feel the opposite, almost like I become weak. So I feel like that's the end of his story in our life. But here comes this Knight of Wands, which I feel like is the beginning of the next journey, let's just say, of Claire. For some, it could be like praying, you know, if one is pregnant here, of keeping the child, even if someone else doesn't want to. I don't know. I'm feeling all these stories. Okay, I like to try to bring it down to like one or two, but universal. Past life readings, they take a while to really develop, but once they do, I feel like they tell one hell of a story. We have the world. Wow. You know what it feels like as soon as I picked up the card is this is something that followed you into this lifetime. So it's coming over health. And I just have a feeling it has to do with like, the health of a female. But this is also a change for Claire. This is, the world means that this, at least the energy with this king, I feel has ended because I feel something new is beginning. But I feel like this is where I feel like the real joy is going to come in. To see. That's what I'm feeling. Wow, they all came out together. We have the King of Cups. Interesting how now we have two different kings. This king is following the world and he's coming over wisdom. It makes me feel happy because I feel like what this is saying is that this king will love this child even as their own, even though it's not their own, as will the woman. I mean, that just feels like it goes with that question. But I feel like this is talking about someone new. Interesting. Okay. We have the Six of Swords. Well, there's that moving on, walking away. You know, you have to go back one card. It means the walking away of toxicity. It's coming over what feels like just dark energy, and it's coming over this time piece. But the card says lessons and blessings. So to me, it feels like heading towards the blessings, like whatever the lessons may have been, the world would, to me, mean that there's a completion of. You know, I feel like even though this king got weak, I don't feel like the woman did. Quite the opposite. I feel like she only got stronger. And isn't it interesting how we fight for things that just aren't really good for us anyway, right? Because look how quickly, like, he fell to his knees. And I just feel like he would have put her, like, threw her under the bus, so to speak, instead of stood his ground, protected his woman. But I feel like now we have someone that I feel not only will do that, but now because I feel like as we're moving forward, it feels like the orphan, because I feel like the leaving and traveling, and then the mother underneath, we have Claire coming back as the mother in this new world, her new world, their new world. You don't forget, you know, it's interesting because all of a sudden I feel like this king and this orphan, though they don't know each other, I feel like there's a soul connection to them. So they do know each other. And you know what? I feel like this orphan, like I want to stop calling her an orphan now and just say the little girl. Um, I feel like she can recognize that. I don't know if I'd speak it. Hmm. Definitely something special about her. Oh my God. And then look at this, the marriage card, mirroring the world. You know, it's interesting. It's coming over male, female, but their backs are to each other, right? And right before is lessons and blessings. Well, you know, even the changing of the kings, like they seem night and day. But I feel like this is the realization. It's almost like oil and vinegar or oil and water. Holy crap. By the way, it's also coming over the angels. That's what the Knight of Wands is bringing in. So this is true commitment. You know, and how interesting because I bet back in the beginning, oh, I already know. Like, do I feel that she thought for one moment that she would end up here? I don't. I feel like she was like needing help and needing it now. So she may have had to see this king crumble to just make that realization and to be able to break those ties because I feel the strength of her, but maybe she is starting to feel the strength of herself. And just seeing him like that, I feel like is such a turnoff. It's such a complete end in her mind that that is over. And so be it because I feel like he is then out of the story. He's out of the story. But so is the darkness, and so is the toxicity for Claire. So the lessons, sometimes I just have to face it, see it for what it really is. Sometimes I'm fighting for what I think I want. Then you see it and you're like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Here you're seeing it. And then the blessings. Wow. Four of Wands. Hello. I mean, if we're going to do a love reading, it's my favorite love card. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because one of our subscribers, Christina, sorry I keep mentioning your name, but um, it is because you, this deck came back out, and this is her favorite card. And what she said is she can feel like the man helping the woman up on the horse, and he's going to teach her how to ride. You know what I mean? And I love that. Like, use your intuition, you know? I don't know why, but I have a feeling they never expected to connect. They just did. And I am definitely seeing the angels involved here, right? Because it's the angels who's bringing in the energy. But first, I feel like Claire had to face what Claire had to face, and then what follows. So this feels like a life where it feels pretty good. So we'll see how it relates to. Let's pick these up. Thinking, should I pick them up? We're really going to have to if we're going to have room. And let's bring out Psychic Tarot. I'm going to slide these way up. And the Psychic Tarot is connecting this past life to the current life. Oh, that was loud. Sorry. You know, I feel like there's some of you that's in this loud, chaotic environment. And I feel like, in a way, I feel like I'm losing my mind. But I feel like there's a sense of needing to ground your energy, even when it's chaotic around you. I feel like that's just a small message to someone. It's like it's hard for me to think. But I feel like you can, like, it's interesting because I was talking to Sam last night. We were talking about a movie. Well, I was talking about how, like, a lot of athletes, how they can focus. I just forgot the name of it, but hyper focus upon, like, hitting that golf ball in the hole and quiet all the noise of the audience. Hmm. It's funny how everything always comes back around. All right. Current life. Wow. Like wanted to come out all together. We have the sun, we have the light, we have the illumination. Interesting because we definitely had the dark back here. Now we have the light. Again, the difference of the blessing and the blessings. So, for some of you, it may actually be some of these blessings coming to you in this lifetime. We have patience and planning. This is the Seven of Pentacles. And I often feel Seven of Pentacles is a tree full of your seeds, your soul seeds of intention, like the things that you wanted to see in this lifetime. Doesn't guarantee us that, but sitting right next to the light, like I pictured the seed with plenty of sunlight. That wisdom has also followed. Interesting. Moving on. Six of, look at this, mirroring persecution, where I was just feeling a dark energy. And look at this, moving on. This feels like the realization of it, like the cutting of those ties. Some of you may have come into this lifetime with that, always worrying what other people think type of energy. And that can lead to people pleasing. And it may be time to put yourself first. Just like she had to figure that out. But this is you figuring it out, nonetheless. Trapped in fear. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. But I have to tell you, right now, what's mirroring it on two sides. First of all, it's an 8, and it's a self created prison. What's mirroring it is the angels and the light. This person's in the dark, but it's what they're choosing. It feels like your higher self traveling towards your spiritual self traveling towards your human self to like give you that awareness. Some of you may felt you might like feel like you've been held in place, and this is all about breaking free. Also, an 8, it's a reminder of who you are. 8 is about a new beginning, but it's also about the courage that it took. Okay. We have, look at that, victory and success under the light. I like that. And dun, 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 we have the Emperor. Under the Seven of Pentacles. Boy, I could see some of you being business owners, and your wisdom is a big part of it. And who knows, you may be pulling wisdom from maybe many of lifetimes into something, whether you're aware or not. You know what I mean? Or let's just say there's no way that the potential was not here. But do I need to set myself free in the Eight of Swords? I do. But that's what the light is here also. It's to help illuminate that for you. We can't hide it from ourselves. Sometimes you'll see like a naked woman whose back is towards us and she's like hugging the world. It's almost like she doesn't want us to see her, but we can. Just like here, the bars, he could fly right through those bars if he wanted. So, you gotta ask yourself, what's got you in that? What's got you in that energy? Because can you overcome it? Well, it's showing you overcome it. Showing you overcome it. It is showing awareness. Like, I feel like there's no way I cannot be aware of it. And listen, it could talk about previous relationships, just like she thought, right? That king, she thought he was worth the problems, the worry, the constant worry. And then she saw him crumble. So, if I got myself tied in knots over someone, I gotta ask myself, why? Do they see your value? Do you see your value? Then we have the emperor. Interesting because the father figure. which is mirroring the orphan, the little girl, spiritual strength under the Six of Swords. I'll tell you what's made you stronger and stronger. Spirituality. You understanding more and more about energy and how energy works. Even our thoughts, like how our thoughts will lie to us. But it's usually based, like out of other people's opinions. And that source usually is not an accurate source, let's say. But again, the awareness. And I love the Emperor under the Seven of Pentacles because I feel like if I'm building something here, you're building success. And I love the spirituality connected to that. And it's interesting because the Emperor is someone who would like put plans together. You know what I mean? Like, is methodical. And right above it, the Seven of Pentacles, the structure that came out in that card, when it's normally a tree, but not here. It's structure, and it's patience and planning. But that's what the Emperor's all about. That's success and the spiritual wisdom. Like you don't know until you know. I know that to be true. You know when you know. Look at that, the Three of Cups. Rejoice in celebration. It's mirroring victory and success. Victory and success is normally you'll see someone where they're on a horse and there's many people looking up to this person and they want, interaction. They want to know, how did you get there? How did you reach this state? And then you have the Emperor right next to that. Well, I mean, you want to talk about wise. But then spiritual strength right beside him. It's like taking my best earthly parts or self and my best spiritual cells, putting them together and creating from them. Seven of Swords, bottom of the deck, deception and envy, firm foundation. Well, there's no way the Seven of Swords was built on a firm foundation. So, much like Claire, again, had to look at that king and see him for what he truly was. I feel like the same thing is happening here, right? Because Seven of Swords is not easy energy. It is deceptive type energy. Doesn't even have to necessarily mean a cheater, but it can be. But to me, it definitely represents a liar. And I feel like that's bad. Like if I can't trust you, I can't trust what you say. And I feel like that's got somebody like tied in knots. But I feel like now I've got to look at the source. I've got to look at the source. Because here's the sun that's available to you. So again, does this person just crumble up and leave your life? I think so. Because the Emperor to me, much like in Claire's story, feels like the father figure of this little girl. And I don't mean like the actual father. I mean, there's a soul connection. And there is I don't know, some of you may be very close with your own father in this lifetime. Or if your father has crossed over, then know that your fathers are helping to, you know, bring you advice. Let's not forget the angels, like they're still blessing everything. All right, let's bring the crystal vision in. So I know this reading you get like time wise out of the world. Right. So we're going to start with the sun. They all came face up. Hmm. Hello, Knight of Wands. So, hello, angels are still involved in your life. Like, these feel like angels that have been with you since the beginning of time, but also your spiritual team, like your spirit guys. But it feels like something special with your angels here because I feel like here we are, we're still here, right over the sun, and I feel the more you trust that and believe that, the more I feel. First of all, I feel the more adventure you find in your life, the more passion you find in your life. Anyway, let's keep going. Look at that. The 10 of Pentacles over patience and planning. Wow. Pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to your wisdom. Don't be afraid to take it and build your own kingdom, so to speak. Maybe it's just what you're meant to do. All right, let's keep going. Well, hello, lovers. Look at that. Six coming over a six. Lovers, head over heart decision. It's the chemistry. This image fits perfect with past life reading because you can see the divine feminine. He's like in spirit form. And you see the feminine. She feels him. She feels his energy. Right? They're not together yet, but she feels him. Wow. It is touching blessings. And it's also coming over the energy of you moving on. This means this is where you just let the bullshit end. You're not taking it anymore. You're doing your thing. You're building your thing. You're trusting in yourself. You're not waiting around for someone. Like I feel you're evolving. And, I feel this power from your angels, but I feel them giving it to you. There's pure chemistry in the lover's energy, and there's meant to be, right? Do I follow my head or do I follow my heart? Guess what I'm going to do in the Eight of Swords? I might just follow my head, and that might turn me away. Oh my God. And then Nine of Swords. So pay attention to this. Some people say, like, why can't it happen? What's going on? Pay attention to this type of energy because it's like the law of attraction, right? It's the energy I'm putting out into the universe. And here's all this worry. And this tells you it doesn't pay off. It goes from the Eight of Cup or the Eight of Swords to the Nine of Swords. But that's unnecessary worry. So you have a lot more control than you think. And I have a feeling all of this energy is related back here. And back here is where I feel it's meant to be. Because here's your angels again. And not only they bringing you ideas, epiphanies, wealth, the ability to create wealth, you're building it. They're giving you the oomph. And then these lovers, I don't feel like I'm out searching. I feel like when it's meant to happen, it happens. But the building, like the rebuilding of you, right past this eight and nine of swords, the setting of oneself free, feels really important first. So I feel like the lovers is on this path. But this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the path, right? But I've left toxicity behind. It means I freed myself. All right. I know it's hard not to worry and think about things, but I think what we have to learn to do is refocus our mind. You know what I mean? Like I want to say when you're down, put music on, but don't put sad music on. Put really upbeat music on. Like music that makes you get up and want to dance. There's ways of changing, I guess. Changing the way you're feeling, changing the energy. All right. We have justice, seven of swords. Okay. And then beautiful, the three of wands. Justice. You use the sword of justice. That means that you're finding balance. That means you're not buying these old beliefs. You're not buying old people's, you know, beliefs. It's like it's almost like you're being reborn, but stronger than ever. And I feel like the cutting of these ties, it just feels necessary. And for some of you, you really have to look at your thoughts. Instead of thinking bad things are going to happen, start telling yourself, like, I know good things are going to happen. And so forth, they do. Three of Wands, optimism. I expect good things to happen. And then they do. I expect good things. Well, in the Eight of Swords, I expect bad things to happen. And then it produces the Nine of Swords. And they do. Right? The Seven of Swords. Ugh. Well, we don't have to put up with that. That's the thing. Three of Wands will call you to the present moment. Lovers is right above it. It's interesting because it could be two different stories. Like you might both be moving on from something. All right. And then look at this. Hello, Will. Hello, Destiny. I couldn't make this shit up, I swear. Over, rejoice in celebration, your destiny. It feels like this life, like we know Claire's life lesson in this lifetime. And I feel like now we know our life lesson in this lifetime, past lifetime, present, you know, and phobias and then all this worry, right? Because why? Because we gave someone else control of our mind. We got to reclaim it, right? Cut those ties. And I'm telling you, I feel like the angels of, well, every lifetime. But look how they followed. How beautiful. And then they bring in the Knight of Wands. And so it begins. And some of you, I'm telling you, epiphanies, ideas, the wisdom, like taking it, and I could see your money overflowing. but not in a like, oh, look how much money I have. In a like, I feel like I would use it for good and to pay bills. But you know what I mean. And maybe someone really had come in between that, you and your potential. But here's the thing, I feel like, just like here, like Claire seeing that king crumble. Same thing here. Seven of Swords, like, I don't care what this person says, I have a hard time trusting them. And to me, if I can't trust you, then what the hell? What am I doing? And it takes us time to figure that out. But when we do, like, because I feel like that's a necessity, but hmm, so funny. For some of you, I feel like you may be the little girl, but in this lifetime, you're the woman. You were the little girl when you were little, but now I feel like you're the woman. I remember how I was saying there's something special about her. And the spiritual connection that's available is just like off the charts. But also the human parts of us is kind of off the charts, the not so good. These are things we can overcome. And, this is all part of the destiny. This is all part of the plan. All part of the plan. Will they or won't they? Do they live happily ever after, or don't they? I feel like we're not writing the story, they are. We're just following along. So, you have the pen, you have the paper. Okay, I'm gonna let that be. I feel like this reading was really long. But at the same time, I feel like it's just what it needed to be. And I appreciate those who like stick it out to the end or break it up and watch it. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes a reading may not make complete sense at first, but then you start to experience something and it reminds you of the reading. Pull it back out. You may hear it in a different way. It happens all the time, I'm telling you. You're listening with your spiritual ears the second time. That's why. But this is destiny. It just is. And expect it. Don't not expect it. Expect it. And expect that you can create this wealth for yourself. Like, this isn't just about the love. This is about you and your potential. And two people building each other up instead of ripping each other down. That's the difference. Okay, I'm still talking. I love you. I thank you. Um, I wish you could see the cards better. I really do. But what a story. What many stories actually, but what a story it told. I love it. I love you. I'll see you next time at our table. Let me know. Let me know what you feel. Like, did you feel any of this? Did you feel one of Declare's personalities that I felt? Do you feel something in this lifetime is really relating? Let me know. I love listening to it. So thank you, thank you. I will see you next time at our table. Bye bye.